Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about comic book resources, or rather, CBR.com, the website formerly known as Comic Book Resources. Apparently, some of the people working there, the people that they have left, are not happy about the direction the website is going in, and they commandeered Twitter to complain about it.
This is funny. I have not looked at this yet because I didn't want to be, ruined of my reactions before we did the video.
So we're getting fresh geeky. We're getting fresh geeky.
As fresh as I'm going to be.
As fresh as she's going to be. So we're going to talk about this before we get into it any further. Please subscribe for more pop culture, news, views, and rants, guys. If you do, you'll get a woohoo.
Woohoo.
She might be woohooing here as we talk about this. So let's wind the clock back a little bit before we talk about where CBR is now. And we've talked about it before, but for those of you who haven't seen our previous videos, Comic Book Resources was started by Jonah Weiland way back in the day, and it used to be a reputable comic book news site. Fast forward to the more recent past, and it has basically become a clickbait farm owned by Valnet.
Oh, it's Valnet. That explains so much.
Right. And in the more recent past, they have laid off a bunch of their editors because they want to do more with AI. Because, again, if you're a clickbait farm, you have to crap out as much content every day as you can.
It's just weird how Valnet's results always are the top of Google. I mean, just interestingly how that works,
Yeah, I have been comparing notes with other site owners, and it seems like Valnet basically pushes out so much content that they drown out other pop culture websites.
Sure, that's why.
That is, and
wink, wink. Okay.
Possibly, there's some money exchanging hands. Who knows?
I don't know, but yeah.
But
I think it goes beyond just cranking out a bunch of stuff.
I'm sure there's something going on here. Anyway, Valnet, very large company, not paying its people well, and not paying as many people, getting rid of them. Fast forward to yesterday, and somebody at CBR got a hold of the Twitter account.
This is funny.
And they posted this
no.
on the official Comic Book Resources Twitter account. Despite rumors to the contrary, we have not eliminated our news section. We simply fired all the news editors who didn't resign in protest and have been slowly gutting our other departments as Valnet continues CBR's shift to an AI-driven, clickbait-focused content mill.
Okay, but wait, my next question is, how is this a shift? It already was. Okay, you're adding AI. It already was a clickbait content mill. I mean, we saw people making jokes like headline generators for CBR.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody knows it's been a clickbait farm for a long time. It's just going AI now. The only difference is that it is going AI because it's been like that for a while. And they, if anything else, those aggregators prove that they don't need you to write
pretty much
headlines. Just hit the button again, and it'll get you a new headline.
So what's going on? Peel the curtain back a little bit. A lot of these websites have been using some variation of AI to guess what's going to perform the best in Google search results, right? So a lot of times, the headlines, when they look like they're word salad, the reason they look that way is they've got to get specific keywords into the headline. The content doesn't really matter. So these people have been creating content that doesn't matter for a very long time. I mean, they really have.
Like 5 reasons why, CBR is a clickbait farm, and 5 reasons that they still are, but you might not have noticed yet.
Pretty much. And it's gotten to a point now where the content is of such low quality that a robot can do it. And that is most of these pop culture websites now. Very few of them produce any actual journalism. They're just cranking out, listicles and regurgitating press releases and giving hot takes that aren't really, I don't think they're their hot takes. I think it's whatever they think is going to get them more clicks, because to get more clicks, these writers get paid more, right? So this is a Gossip Girl. Dan the McMahon, the Gossip Girl. Whoever posted this to the CBR Twitter, you deserve the best. I wish you the brightest of days. CBR burns through its writers and editors like they aren't even human.
Well, now they don't have to be.
They don't have to be. Valnet is a truly evil corporation, so they're all turning on
Valnet's just about getting ads and stuff like that. It's an ad form, basically.
Yeah, it is. And this is coming from Comics Beat, which, to her credit, I don't agree with Heidi McDonald a lot of times, but at least her website is owned independently, and at least we think humans are writing the articles. They might
Yeah,
have,
I think they are there.
I
yes.
think humans are writing most of the articles. She goes on to talk about Valnet. She says a Canadian media company that owns a suite of pop culture gaming sites called CBR. So this is why all these garbage headlines sound very similar. They're all kind of in cahoots. CBR, Screen Rant, Collider, MovieWeb, The Gamer, and Games Rant, and many more.
Now, before they started replacing people with AI, when we talk about how all these sites would be in lockstep, like someone would get a hair up their ass for something, and then all of a sudden, all these sites would have the same article, pretty much.
Yeah.
But like, oh wow, look at all these sites that are trying to like say the same thing. It must be true. Usually, it was like one of these where they were all owned by the same people.
It's basically, if you just view Valnet as being one website with different flavors, that's what it is. And they own like 20 or 30 websites. They own so many of these websites now. But it got sold in 2016. Comic Book Resources used to have a great community. It used to have great message boards. And it was actually about comic books. And it used to have, interviews and all this stuff that people wanted back in the day. And now it's just a clickbait farm. And it has been for a while. I mean, this is before AI. And some of the writers that are chiming in on this and lamenting this change, they were actually contributing to the problem because your articles were of such low quality that they're like, why are we even paying you people to do this?
Pretty much,
just get a robot.
Everybody knew it was a joke. They even make fun of it in here. They're talking about, they make a lot of jokes. I hear about CBR's heel turn to clickbait headlines, 5 reasons to like them and 5 reasons to hate them.
Yeah.
It's a running joke with everyone.
It is a running joke. So yeah, let's see here. So someone pushed against the negative tweet. Someone did this with an old third-party login. All the info in the tweet is 100% false.
Really?
It?
Did an AI write that?
Did they? Former Screen Rant writer Liam McGuire posted, sadly, that's not the case with all Valnet properties. Okay. He has to say, well, it's not all Valnet. Actually, Collider is not as bad, I don't think, as some of the other ones.
To be fair, CBR is the one has been the worst with the, that they're making aggregators for the headlines over it.
So I think the guy in charge of Collider yesterday, and I actually retweeted it. He talked about how Twitter has never been a traffic driver for them. And that's 100% true. So they're kind of like basically trying to game Google News, with these headlines to get you to click just to get that ad revenue. Samantha Puck, we talked about her. Sending this person love and solidarity. When I was at CBR, I worked a minimum of 50 hours a week and got paid $2,000 a month. When asked for better compensation, I was fired. Was it just that?
Was it? Well, 50 hours a week, $1,000 a month, that kind of sucks. But,
That kind of tracks with a lot of these websites.
Yeah, it does. But I mean, it's like at that point, we go work at McDonald's.
Pretty much. I mean, this is what I don't understand. So we've got people working and this is like a side tangent, but we have people working in pop culture news and people working on, lower end comic book companies and stuff, and they complain about the pay and they want to unionize and all this other stuff. You literally can go anywhere else.
I was thinking Walmart.
Yeah.
It's like they pay around here. Now, this isn't the case for most places, but in some of the places around here, they pay more than they pay substitute teachers. And you break it down by hour to work at Walmart.
I saw signs at the post office, $20 an hour.
Mm-hmm. Starting.
Yeah. To deliver mail. And you're done. You're done. 9 to 5, you're done.
I mean, honestly, if I wasn't doing this and I wasn't teaching, that's what I would do. I'd want to do a mail route in town just so I could walk all the time. I mean, I'd be really good shape. It would suck in the winter, and I'd have to wear like SPF 300 in the summer, but I would get a lot of exercise.
So this person, Math Arrow, I don't know. Since San Diego Comic-Con, my editor and I were essentially running the entire news department at CBR. 2 weeks ago, I was demoted and told the new scheme would actually benefit me, and I was part of a new structure for the site. 2 weeks later, we were both fired.
This is what they do. This is so... If you believe that 2 weeks ago, then, right. 2 weeks ago should have given you enough time. 2 weeks, enough time that you could have put in notice and got a job someplace else, and instead you're still, now you're without anything.
My firing came in the form of an HR email in the morning. The head of CBR, who I'd worked with in the news department for many years prior, didn't message me, nor did any of the higher-ups.
Coward.
That's what I get for 4 years of work with CBR and 2 previous years at Valnet-owned Screen Rant. This person said that when Valnet took over Collider, the freelance rate plummeted from $250 to $40. So we can talk about this. The ad rates are terrible.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it's worse than that now.
The ad rates are absolutely terrible. I've heard that people at CBR were getting paid $3, $5, $10 for articles, and then they get more if they get hits. So it benefits them to make the headlines as clickbaity as possible, as inflammatory as possible.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore where we pay people per views, because we had somebody that I'm not going to say who, but we had somebody who abused that. And when they were gone, the weird hits stopped. It's weird how that works.
We had one of our websites, one of our writers in particular, every article this person would do would suddenly skyrocket.
And they'd be like, it's going to take off at 7 p.m. tomorrow.
You have no way of knowing.
And it's like, you wouldn't know that.
You have no way of knowing that. So all of just their articles, it didn't matter. It was
always theirs, yes.
It didn't matter how mundane the article was. And so I'm like, this is kind of weird. So
I guess why a lot of sites stopped doing that.
Yeah.
Was because it was so easy to cheat. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, we almost lost our ad network over it. We almost lost our hosting over it because they're like, there's some weird stuff going on.
Yeah, where does stuff come from? It's like, that's a good question.
Damn good question. So anyway. But so I don't know if they're getting the view bonuses anymore. This person said, I've been to a couple events with people who write for Valnet recently. One time I overheard this writer say they couldn't hang after because they had to go home and make their quota of 7 articles for the day. This was on a Sunday evening. I thought they were exaggerating, but they weren't. Anthony Gramoglia.
Anthony.
Speaking of people who write inflammatory headlines, right?
Yeah, and they get really ass mad when you call them out for it.
They really do. On the topic of CBR, I haven't written an article for them in over a year, yet I keep seeing new articles appear in my byline. I believe there are old articles being reposted. No, they actually do that. They actually do that.
They do. They keep updating the dates on it, or say, like, if you search, like, articles in the past day, they could be an article from 2 years ago, and they'll show back up that they're listing it as if it's a new article.
This guy said that freelancers are paid so little for all the work they do. $10 for a game guide, which takes 3 hours to research and write, and $20 if the guide is more than 1,000 words, or nothing for AI.
That's something bad. Like a game guide. That's
for
ridiculous.
Game guide. That's bad. We actually for longer interviews and stuff, we actually pay more than that.
Well, for shorter articles, we don't.
Shorter articles, but for longer
we don't expect people to take 3 hours to write them.
Yeah. So. Apparently they got called out for buying Billboard in Times Square after they laid a bunch of people off.
Why'd they buy a billboard in Times Square?
I think they're trying to sell the company.
Could be.
I think they're trying to sell the company because all of these news outlets
doesn't make any money.
It's not making money.
Ad rate, and they're based on ad rates.
Yes.
And the ad rates are absolute dog shit right now.
They have no product. Their product is basically, it's you. It's the reader. They're generating content to be consumed to get ad revenue. And in a lot of cases, I think it's starting to come out that a lot of the quote unquote audience is not real either. I think a lot of these sites are buying traffic and stuff to make it look like they have, because the goal for all these websites was eventually to sell. Look at Vice. Look at, they were going to pump it up and then sell it.
So they paid for this little screen thing that says at least $5,000 just so these two people could sit in front of it and get pictures. Apparently, it lasted long enough for them to get the photos.
Yeah, probably.
Wow.
And it's probably to sell the company. I would not be surprised. We're seeing so much consolidation in media right now. And the fact that they're cutting back like they are, they have to show that they're turning a profit of some kind, even with a downturn in advertising. They're probably going to sell the company. And that means most of these websites, I believe, are going to be shut down because they're not worth it. Look at this. It's like, come on, guys, look at us. We're Valnet, everybody. Here's an update from an ex-CBS staffer, Sean Gribben. I'm sure it sure would have been crazy if a business with comic book in the name limited the number of comic book news stories to about 5 per day, right? They don't. Okay, so here's the other thing. This is
funny. I'm sorry. This is amusing.
So Heidi McDonald has lamented before that there isn't enough comic book news out there. There isn't enough actual comic book journalism.
But I'm going to say to go against that, I don't think there's enough interest in
that is exactly
comic book journalism.
No, that's the reason you don't see more stories about comic books, actual comic books, is that the interest in actual comic books is almost non-existent. It doesn't move the needle. Can I use that term?
It doesn't buying them.
Nobody's buying them.
And the audience
not Western books.
You pissed off and they ran away. Back when these sites were doing very well on comics news, including Comics Beat, they actually had books that sold and people were interested in them. Now people are only interested in things like manga, and stuff like that. Some people are still interested in the books, but unless they fix the problems they're having, which they're trying to now, but it might be too little too late. You lost your audience for both the news sites and for purchasing the comic books. I am trying to talk, guys. I am so sick. Anyway.
So Heidi actually knows. She knows what's up, right? She's been doing this for a while. So she's like, this is, why is this happening? We're told Valnet properties are profitable.
Don't buy it.
I don't believe it, including CBR. Well, yeah, they're profitable if you don't have to hire anybody.
They're profitable if you have AI farms.
Doubling your content.
And let's be honest, doing that, you get yourself somehow at the top of all the news sites. Even when it's just garbage like quizzes.
Yeah.
And, you have people that are probably trying to inflate their numbers to get paid better.
There's been a rather drastic shift in the online news economy of late. Twitter is no longer a reliable traffic driver. And it's going to get worse. Yeah, Musk is going to take the headlines.
Twitter never was.
It never really was
traffic driver.
Well, that's what the guy from Weintraub from Collider said that too. I said Twitter historically for us has only accounted for maybe 1% to 2% of our traffic historically. Nobody really clicks in from Twitter, right? It says it's going to get worse because Musk is taking he's taking the headlines away from the
you can't even directly take your blog articles and put them on Twitter anymore and things like that, which is also whatever you did get, it's difficult to get that. So why bother? It's not worth the effort.
Facebook has been actively removing outside media from its feeds. That is true. Facebook was the biggest driver of traffic for all of these websites, and you could boost posts and you could drive traffic to your site and you'd make that money back in ad revenue. Now, Facebook wants to discourage you from leaving Facebook at all. So you go to click on a link. It's like, are you sure you want to leave? This site could be dangerous. You better go back.
Try to scare you into staying on the thing.
Yes.
Yeah. So why even promote on Facebook? Why, they want you to pay to promote. Why bother? Because when people go to your, unless you want to grow your subs on Facebook, if you're trying to take people to your blog, it's going to be detrimental to you. Don't do it.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're really kind of screwed. I mean, with the dismantling of social media, and that's a whole nother discussion. We've talked about it in a lot of different videos, but so many of these websites were dependent on social media to drive traffic. And now that everything has been upended, Facebook and Twitter and all that, and some of these other, aggregators have shut down completely. People aren't using Reddit now. It has tossed a hand grenade into the ecosystem. And so a lot of these blogs, I think, are going to just disappear. It also explains why Valnet is cutting costs, but not why they seem to be dismantling it. I think CBR is probably the biggest underperformer because of it being comics and stuff.
And again, nobody cares about comics.
Yeah. When she started The Beat 20 years ago, the two biggest comic sites were Newsarama and Comic Book Resources. Mm-hmm. And Newsarama got absorbed into a video game site, right?
Yep.
Other sites have arisen, but perhaps a proper survey of the landscape should be undertaken. We have tried. Heidi and other journalists, you do not want to listen to us. Mm-mm. We have tried to tell you where the bear shits in the woods. Mm-hmm. And we've been demonized as Nazis or alt-right or whatever. And the reality is that everything that we've known for the last 10 or whatever years in terms of digital media is ending.
Oh my God, it's been like 10 years because it started in 2014, 2016. It's heading on 10 years. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
We sounded the alarm and now like, oh my God, I think I smell smoke. And it's like, no shit.
Oh my God. It's like the truth is slowly saying, if you're a comics creator trying to get the news out about your project, it's getting harder all the time. It works still for now, till they ruin that too, is YouTube. And the people that have been demonized the most by the mainstream comic book industry, YouTubers. Mm-hmm. You're not allowed to talk. You're not allowed to talk to them. You're not allowed to go on their shows because they might be Nazis. You're not allowed to, mention them at all in a lot of cases. But these people are still consistently pulling in 6, even 7 figures in crowdfunding, because they're able to get their stuff out there.
Well, they're also doing things people actually want. So there's that too.
Well, there's that too. But I'm just saying, as far as promotion, you have demonized the people that probably could have helped promote other people's books. Mm-hmm. And people like Anthony Gramuglia actually have been leading the charge to.
Oh God, Anthony!
He's been behind the scenes of a lot of this crazy nonsense.
Every time I mention it, I just smile because it amuses me so much. Like I can't help it when I hear Anthony. I'm just like I get the biggest smile on my face. Like right now, I'm smiling really big because
she is.
He's this. Oh,
I don't know
so much.
I don't know the guy from Adam. I don't care, but I do know
from
that
Anthony.
I don't know the guy, but I'm just saying, like him and a couple of these other journalists, they have spent the last like 4 or 5 years
mad.
Just furious that YouTubers exist because I think
no, because we take their articles and call out their bullshit, and then they get mad about it.
But they could have done the same thing. This is what I don't understand. You could have done the same thing. Heidi could have done the same thing. Instead of sitting here and be like, well, we don't know what's going on with the media landscape. Why are all the eyeballs disappearing? It's like you had a template. You didn't have to agree with the YouTubers necessarily, but you could have done the same thing.
Yeah, but Heidi has no excuse because her site's been facing this issue for years.
Oh,
and the answer was who'd they sell it to, and then she got it back from. I mean, she sold it to somebody.
I think it was Lion Forge.
And then bought it back. But they didn't even want to keep it because it wasn't making any money. It's been an ongoing issue. And instead of changing it up or trying to figure out what you can do or going to like YouTube or finding a new way, no, we got to keep it the same way as is. And then you're like, why? I don't get it. What? What's happening? Why isn't this not working? I didn't see this coming.
It's like if you're making whips and buggies and everyone is driving a Model T. Eventually you're going to be out of business. And that's what a lot of these people just didn't understand.
I don't know. If you're making whips, you still might be in business for a bit.
You just have to, yeah.
And buggies are still being used. Amish use them all the time.
Well, it's true. We're in Western Pennsylvania.
We see them on the roads.
They actually have, believe it or not, if you don't live in Pennsylvania, you wouldn't get this. But in Western Pennsylvania, they actually have hitches in parking lots. Like Walmart parking lots have hitches for horses, like actual horses.
They have like the boot brushes for like,
clean your boots off because you're out plowing with your actual animals on the farm. Yeah, it's so weird. And we're talking like relatively urban-ish areas have.
Yeah, but it's so funny though because you see the Amish and they're on their cell phones.
They're on their cell phones,
like, shop at the store and using their credit. Sometimes use cash, sometimes use credit cards, everything else like their debit cards. And it just amuses me.
Well, that's what these websites are.
So many things amuse me, and it's the little things.
These websites are the Amish on flip phones compared to the rest of the world right now, and it's that. I mean, I feel bad for the people on some level that if they're not assholes and they're just trying to write about things they want to write about, and this is what they've been doing for years, getting blindsided like this. But
if you're working for CBR, you most likely are doing asshole articles.
Asshole articles.
I'm sorry to try to get clickbait.
Probably. So it doesn't matter if they're replaced with AI anyway, because the site's still going to crank out the same quality.
Go start your own. Go start your own. You know what I mean?
Why don't they?
Yeah. Start your own and try to be like more honest and try to be, about the fans and for the fans and do that. And, try it's not easy, but try to build something instead of taking a seat and see if you can do better, because maybe you can.
All of these websites that have degenerated into, and this is actually the enshittification. This is Cory Doctorow, I think, had the term where every website eventually this happens to it. But all of these sites, the CBRs and the Newsaramas, they were all independently owned and operated websites. Somebody started that site, just them, their coding skills, and some friends, and then they grew it into what it was.
And then they sold it.
The
corporate. And then this is what
That's when everything goes to hell. Yep.
Pretty much.
Everything goes to hell when you sell it to some corporation. So build your own site. You guys all get together. You're right. And start a site, and then don't sell out.
So enshittification is synonymous with Disney at this point in time.
Pretty much. That's the Disney magic. We're going to wrap this up.
Supercalifragilistic enshittification. Yeah.
All right. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.
Help support the channel. Go to thereef.support and get early access to podcasts, videos, and other content. That's thereef.support.